This is 10 News at 5 with Max Butcher and Chloe Baker.
Good evening. Also coming...
Tony Abbott has made a flying visit to the flood-ravaged community of Grantham ahead of next week's disaster anniversary. He's called on Australians not to forget those whose lives were turned upside down. Victims' most private moments and personal information ended up on the web for the world to see. The accused says that was never his intention and not his fault. Back here in the Solomon Islands, the royal visit has already been felt. About 100 metres down that way behind the cordon is Grant's office. In it, 25 years worth of legal documents.
A very real sense of fear. Police are checking every car in and out of the airport.
Chloe Baker is in Caboolture. As Chloe, this search will resume very, very soon. What is the weather like?
Well, look, it doesn't look bad at the moment, Paul, but the forecast is for more bad weather on the way. We know that the search will resume at 8 o'clock this morning for Des Porter, the pilot, his wife, Kath, and there are 4 other passengers who are on board the DH-84 Dragon, which disappeared yesterday afternoon. They were serenaded many people.
1 or 2.
Want to tell us who they are?
I can't do that.
Cody's parents always knew he'd be destined for fame and success. They just never thought it would be because of his music. However, lawyers will walk into a French court within the next couple of hours seeking an injunction against Closer magazine. That could potentially stop them from publishing any more photos they may have of Kate. The lawyers want criminal charges to be laid as well, and that could see the photographer and the editor of the magazine behind bars for up to a year. But for today, that was the last thing on the young couple's minds. Honiara had promised to be the most exciting part of the royal tour. A cultural village celebration fit for a future king and queen. Tonight we are kissing MS goodbye. Now, it's World Multiple Sclerosis Day this Wednesday. Might I point out it was my husband driving?
Oh, all right. But he's never out of a helmet, is that right?
He loves the helmet and he's got a selection of 3 and he picks a different one every day and he wears it around the house and in the car, and my husband apparently had to bribe him yesterday to get the helmet off to get him into daycare.
Do you sometimes have to creep into his bedroom when he's asleep and take the helmet off?
He wears it in bed. He wears it in bed.
That is fantastic.
In borrowed clothes with the few possessions they have left, survivors are still in shock.
We are 3 of us, we survived. And the rest, I don't know.
Do you think there are many people who've died?
Yes, because the boat was overloading.
Packed with school students and teachers, the Rabaul Queen was swamped by a massive wave. Teacher Dorish Taron was with her husband.
He's still not here. I'm just waiting for him.
How worried are you?
I'm sorry, I'm very worried about him.
The Salvation Army is supporting survivors.
Families will come together and find out about the survivors, and then they'll wait if their relatives are deceased. They'll wait at the morgue and then take the bodies back home to their village to be buried.
Any of your family except the 9-year-old girl survived?
No.
The Rabaul Queen was similar to the ferries behind me. Those who've made it back to shore say it was so overcrowded there was barely room to move. Mothers and their babies were below deck. Most were asleep when the monster wave hit.
Those that survived are those that were on the deck.
The ferry company has shut its doors on relatives desperate for answers and desperate to hear news of more passengers found alive at sea. In Papua New Guinea, Chloe Baker. This is a once-in-a-decade show of military might. Conventional warfare carried out by elite soldiers. This is only an exercise, but it's as real as it gets. Helicopters bomb hills in the distance. They've got support from fighter jets too. Rocket launchers narrow in on targets as troops take on the enemy from the ground.
They'll then step off once the wire has been breached in order to breach the wire and continue their assault onto the enemy objective.
Never before has the 89th Battalion from Brisbane been able to train for war like this. The bullets are real and the bombs are deadly. At one point even we were told to take cover.
The ground is literally shaking here and the noise is just incredible. And for many of the younger troops, this is the first time they've ever been involved in a live fire exercise like this one.
Daunting and it's awe-inspiring for them. You know, soldiers always love to see things go bang.
But they're practicing for a reason.
If you get the opportunity to go onto a deployment overseas, you adapt the skills we learn here to that particular environment. But the important thing is we've got to get this right, because this is the hard bit.
For now, this type of training is new and exciting.
A lot of great stuff. I mean, I've never seen so much stuff all put together.
Oh, it's big. It's big to try and prepare the guys for what eventually could lead to in battles.
The soldiers know there is a serious side. Many here were mates with the diggers who lost their lives in Afghanistan. They're not scared, just more determined.
I just want to go because it's what we do. It's like training for a rugby game and not being put on the field.
It's really important, Yeah. It's a lead up. This training is a lead up.
The lead up for a dangerous and very deadly new world of warfare. These days you can buy just about anything on the internet. Shoes, clothes, cars, and now even drugs. Silk Road is just like eBay, except what's on offer is frightening.
This is a new world for criminals, not only your traditional cyber criminal, but also your real world criminal.
There's a smorgasbord of illicit drugs, cocaine, heroin, amphetamines and cannabis, and the list of prescription drugs is endless. Temptation is just one click away.
I think it is a very frightening concept that you don't even have to leave your home to be able to access drugs and be able to access the purchasing of drugs and see what's available out there.
Sellers post photos and a description on the site. Buyers bid using an encrypted currency called bitcoins. Identities are hidden using a program which scrambles IP addresses.
People can go freely into these sites knowing that it is very, very difficult for law enforcement to apprehend and catch them, and also monitor their conversations.
Ready-to-order drugs are being shipped around the world. Sellers even offer discounts and free postage.
They actually have to put it in the post and get it here. So our opportunities are to, once we make those detections, is we look at who's actually bringing these items in.
We have not seen any big hauls. What they're doing is they're buying in small quantities, low volume but high frequency.
The site launched more than a year ago. Now there are thousands of registered users.
They rely on anonymity and encryption, which is their greatest asset and tool, but it's also one of their greatest weaknesses.
And that's because police can infiltrate the site, pretending to be buyers and sellers to learn the users' habits. However, in the US, authorities have tried without success to shut Silk Road down. Here, authorities know for sure Australians are using this site.
Both from a buyer and a seller perspective, but it is hard to identify the exact number of people who are, on the site.
And they know Silk Road drugs are slipping through customs.
We don't expect to stop absolutely everything. We think we get a whole lot, and we're seeing from feedback on the site that what we're doing is clearly disrupting online sales.
Disrupting, but not stopping, a growing global problem.